Hey everyone, this is Alex from WarnOffKeys.com, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create, edit, and send your own embeds using Discord.js version 13. Before we start, I want to quickly mention that knowing JavaScript is a requirement to follow this video and this entire series. If you don't know JavaScript, don't worry. I have a complete JavaScript course where the first hour is on YouTube for free, so you can check that out in the link down below in the description as well as in the pinned comment. So with that said, let's go ahead and make a new command. So I'll highlight my commands folder and I can make a new file called embed.ts. And of course, if you're using JavaScript, use .js instead. I'm then going to create my own command here. So I can export default an object, and we're going to export this as an instance of iCommand. And if you watched the previous video, you know what this is. And if you're not using JavaScript, or if you're not using WarnOffKeys commands, you can ignore this part here. But within this, we want to go ahead and create our own command. So we'll start off with a category. We can call this testing. The description will be sends and embed. We can say permissions will be an array of strings. In this case, we want only administrators to be able to run this command. And then we have our callback, which is the method that is ran whenever a user actually runs our command. So let's gain access to message and let's gain access to text. And then let's go ahead and create our own embed. I can say const embed equals new message embed. And I'm going to use control space to bring this up so I can automatically import message embed from Discord.js as you see right here. If this pop-up doesn't happen for you, then go ahead and manually import embed like this right here. So the only required property for this is the description, and we can go ahead and chain different methods together. By that, I mean we can set a description here, we can set a title here, and you see that these method calls are on their own line, so we can go ahead and keep adding those right here. For now, I'm just going to add a description, and I'm going to say hello world, and then I can say return embed. Now, this return embed specifically is for WarnOffKeys commands, because if we return any string or any embed, it will automatically respond with that. So if I save this, I can now go into my terminal, I can navigate into the correct folder, and I can run my bot in the same way I did in the last video. So now our bot is running, and if I go into Discord, I can do !embed, and it's going to say hello world just like this. Now obviously we want to customize this a little bit more. So if we go back, we could take a look at all other options we have. So we can set a title. I'll just call this title. We can set a color. I'll call this red, and you can also use hex values here as well. And actually, it's wanting me to use uppercase right here, so I'll go ahead and do that. We can set an author. I'll say Alex. And there's a lot of other options we have. We can set an image and a thumbnail if you wanted. We can set a footer, which I'll just call this footer. And we can also add in our own field or our own fields. So I'll show you an example of how to do both of these. If we use add fields, this is going to take in an array of objects. And if I use control space in here, it's now going to show that we have name, value, and inline. So the name, I can call this name. For the value, I'll call it value. And I can add in multiple within this array. So now if I scroll down, I can add in another one. Name can be name2. And then we also have value, which is value2. And afterwards, I can add each individual field within their own function call. So this takes in 3 arguments. The first one is the name, like I say name3. And the second one is going to be the value, so I can say value3. Now if I save this, our bot restarts. And if I go back into Discord, I can do !embed. And it now responds with this right here. We see the color is red, the author is Alex, we see a title right here and a description. And then we see this bold name and this non-bold value. We also see these right here for the other 2 as well. So these are individual fields that you can add in. And at the bottom, we see our footer. So now if I go back and I add in inline is true and inline is true here, I can then save this. And then here I can run embed again. And now we see name is value and name2 is value2 on the same line. So you can use inline to make the fields on the same line. This is a very basic embed, but now let's say that we want to actually update this embed. If I go back, I can use Control tilde or Command tilde on a Mac to minimize the console, and it's still running in the background. Instead of saying return embed, let's say I want to send this through the message object itself. So I can say message.reply, and we can pass in an object. And within here, we can use Control space, and we see a number of different options. Typically, if you're passing in a string, you'll pass in content. If you're passing in an embed, you have to pass in an embeds array, and your embed can be in here. I could then say const new message equals await message.reply. And because this is await, we have to make this function asynchronous for it to work correctly. So now I'm looking to wait 3 seconds, and then I'm going to change the title to edited title. So let's go ahead and wait 3 seconds here. I can say await new promise, resolve as the function to actually exit this promise. And then I can say set timeout, resolve 5000, and this will wait 5 seconds. So now I'm looking to get the current embed attached to this message right here. So I can say const new embed equals new message dot embeds index 0. Now, technically, this is still the same embed, but for demonstration purposes, this is the easiest way for me to demonstrate this, where we're actually sending a message, and attached to that message is its own embed. So now we have the same embed, but this could, in theory, be from a different part of your code. And so I'm going to treat it as if we don't immediately have access to the embed like we do here. But now that we have access to this, I can say new embed dot set title as edited title. I can then say new message dot edit, pass it an object, and then we can say embeds will be an array with new embed. Now, if I save this, I can go back in here and I can do exclamation point embed. It'll send this new embed, and then after 5 seconds, it should edit this where title would equal edited title, as we see right there. So this is the same embed, and it even says edited right here. So that's one way you can actually edit embeds. And of course, if you want to edit other properties, you could. It would be the same methods as set title right here. So now let's say we want this embed command to send an embed based off of the JSON string that we sent. So I'm going to go ahead and comment out all of this code by using Control / or Command / on a Mac. And now we're looking to change this text variable into JSON. So in warn-off keys commands, the text is going to be every single individual argument combined into a string as if the user just sent it. So I can say const JSON in lowercase equals JSON in uppercase dot parse text. This will change the text string into a JSON object. And this is important because when we create an embed with this code right here equals new embed, we can actually pass in JSON as an argument here, and it will then create an embed based around that JSON data. So I can say const embed equals new message embed, and then I can pass in JSON, and I can then return embed. So if you don't know what JSON is, it stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's very similar to an object syntax within JavaScript. I currently don't have a tutorial, but once I do, I will link it down below in the description. But for now, if you don't know anything about JSON, there are plenty of other resources on other YouTube channels that you can check out. So with that said, let's go ahead and save this, and let's go back into Discord. And if I do exclamation point embed and then an object, like I mentioned, description is going to be the only required property. So I can add in description, and then I can say test. And if I send this, it'll now say test as a description. If I copy this, I can then change this. Let's say color is green. If I send this, we now see green on the left bar right here. So this is very useful if you want to be able to send an embed without having to actually change your bot, because we can just simply change the JSON string here and it will change on the actual embed that's sent. Now, of course, in a very practical use case, you would want to make this send into a specific channel and not reply to your actual command. Thanks for watching the video. If you want access to video source code, as well as early access to future tutorials, consider clicking on the join button down below the video to support the channel.